I'm standing here with Steve, and Steve, can you tell us a bit more about this product?
Okay, so we are Lexplore Analytics. We come from Stockholm in Sweden originally, but we're in the UK as well, and this essentially is what we do. We analyse children's eye movements to produce a reading assessment result, essentially. We can give you an indication of visual difficulties and certainly problems with regards to reading ability. And essentially this is what it's all based on. So we've got 30 years worth of research looking at children's eye movements. We've got literally hundreds of thousands of results, and essentially it's based around these circles here, which are called fixation points, and that is essentially where decoding is taking place. So where the eyes rest on the text for 120 milliseconds or more, we can tell, because on the screen over here, which we'll talk about later, we have a very, very accurate eye recording or eye tracking device that records somewhere in the region of 90 frames per second. So it can pick up where there's a fixation point, it then starts to record, and it then looks for the next fixation point, and it draws a line between the two fixation points. Those are called circades. We get progressive and regressive circades. Everybody reverts backwards within the text when they're reading. It's perfectly natural. We fact check and we contextualise what we're reading. What we don't want to see is too much of that, because that starts to affect the fluency of what's going on. So essentially what we're looking for, and we see it on the left hand side, we want smaller fixation points, so decoding is happening quickly, and we want fewer fixation points so that they're passing over high frequency words, which also gives you an indication of their reading ability. On the right hand side, what we can actually see is the circles are larger, so the person is actually having more time spent doing the decoding. And if you look, generally there are more of the fixation points, and when she gets to Karen here, you'll see she regresses, and we don't want too much of that. Some of it's okay, because we all do it, as I said before, but we don't want too much of it, because that slows the reading down and affects the fluency. So that's really what the aim of it is.
Can we look at the setup, what we
sure.
need to use the program?
Yeah, so basically normally it's a laptop, because you need to have a second screen attached, so a laptop is generally more appropriate for that. It needs to be a Windows 10 machine, and then you have a second monitor that you attach. Now this is the one that the child sits in front of to do the reading, so obviously we attach this small inconspicuous eye tracking device that I talked about before. We'll supply that for you, that's not a problem. And basically the examiner, the Lexplore examiner, who we will train, will sit in front of this device and run the application. And the test, the assessment itself, is made up of 3 parts. A rapid naming exercise, which is a series of letters that are presented to the child, and they're asked to read them as quickly as possible, and we take a lot of information from that by tracking their eyes. Then 2 pieces of text, which is age appropriate, so obviously we need to know the age of the child, and we carefully monitor the content of that text to make sure it's age appropriate. We ask them to read one of those pieces of text out loud and one of them silently. After each piece of text, we ask a series of comprehension questions, which are presented on this screen to the examiner, who asks them orally to the child. And you just simply mark whether the child got the answer correct or incorrect. The whole test, on average, about 2 to 5 minutes per child, so it's very, very quick.
Yeah. Thank you so much.